Good evening, class. My name is Gwena, and today I'll be talking about Marie Esprit Leon Walras. Leon Walras was born on the 16th of December 1834 in Evreux in France. He died on the 5th of January 1910 in Montreux, Switzerland, at the age of 75. He was the son of the French proto-nationalist economist, social reformist, and school teacher Auguste Walras. His mother was Louise Aline de Saint-Beuve. Education. He studied at the College of Caen from 1844 to 1850, entered the Lycée of Douai, received the Bachelor of Letters in 1851 and the Bachelor of Science in 1853. He enrolled in the École des Mines de Paris in 1854 but grew tired of engineering. He tried literature unsuccessfully. His work life. So he worked at a bank as a bank manager, and a journalist at some point, romantic novelist, and railway clerk before turning to economics. Walras and Leon Say in 1865 began a bank for producers' cooperatives, and Walras became managing director. But the bank failed in 1868. Then Walras was then appointed in 1870 to an untenured professorship of economics at the Academy of Lausanne in Switzerland, which became a university afterwards. He was made a tenured professor there in 1871. Walras, along with William Jevons and Karl Menger, were considered founding fathers of neoclassical economics. He was one of the first comprehensive mathematical analysts of general economic equilibrium. He has been hailed by Joseph Schumpeter as the greatest of all economists. The demonstration that price and quantity were uniquely determined for each commodity contribution to economic science. His biggest contribution was in what is now known as the generals, considered one of Walras's greatest equilibrium theory since before him. Many economists were unable to show how a whole economy with many goods fits together and reaches an equilibrium. Walras built a system of simultaneous equations to describe his hypothetical economy. He also showed that because the number of equations equal the number of unknowns, the system could be solved to give the equilibrium prices and quantities of commodities. The demonstration that price and quantity were uniquely determined for each commodity is considered one of Walras's greatest contributions to economic science. His second major step was to create a simulation of an artificial market process to get the system to equilibrium, and he called this groping. Here, price is called out, and the people in the market say how much they are willing to demand or supply at a particular price. If there was an excess of supply over demand, price would be lowered, then less would be supplied and more demanded, resulting in the price grope toward equilibrium. To keep constant the equilibrium toward which price we're groping, he assumed that no actual exchanges were made until equilibrium reached. Walras constructed a mathematical model in which productive factors, products, and prices automatically adjust in equilibrium. He tied together the theories of production, exchange, money, and capital. He advocated for the abolishment of taxes and the nationalization of private land to generate a revenue for the government. Although his impact on economics was limited during his lifetime, it has been much greater since the 1930s. Historian of economic thought Mark Bloch wrote that Walras may now be the most widely read 19th century economist after Ricardo and Marx. His important theories were that of marginal utility, general equilibrium, Walras's law, and Walrasian auction. Walras' law is an economic theory which states that the existence of excess supply in one market must be matched by excess demand in another market so that both factors are balanced out. Walras's law asserts that an examined market must be in equilibrium if all other markets are in equilibrium. Walras created general equilibrium theory and founded the Lausanne School of Economics. Walras's law is also named after Leon Walras. Walras's famous insights can be found in the book Elements of Pure Economics, published in 1874, and there were four more that came after that of different titles. Walras was one of the three leaders of marginalist revolution, even though his greatest work, Elements of Pure Economics, was published in 1874, 3 years after those of William Stanley Jevons and Karl Menger. Among the three revolutionaries, Leon Walras set forth the new marginalist or neoclassical theory in a formal general equilibrium setting. Keynesian economics, by contrast to Walras, assumes that one market can be out of balance without a matching imbalance elsewhere. However, Keynesian economics theory stands in contrast to Walras' law by stating one market can be in balance without another market being out of balance, which is what Walras argued. Walras's law works on the principle of the Adam Smith's "the invisible hand". Where there is excess demand, the invisible hand will raise prices, and where there is excess supply, the invisible hand will decrease prices until equilibrium is reached. Because Walras wrote in French, his work did not get much attention in Britain, the hotbed of 19th century economics. However, today he, Karl Marx, and David Ricardo are the most widely studied 19th century economists.